The galaxy before humans almost equals 500 words. The galaxy had long believed it understood itself. Millennia of observation had taught civilizations the rhythm of life: rise, flourish, decay, and vanish. Empires spanned star clusters, war machines carved through systems, and philosophies grew more intricate than the patterns of galaxies themselves. Among the oldest and most confident were the Zyphorians, crystalline intellects whose knowledge spanned hundreds of thousands of years, and the Meridii, bioengineered masters of survival, whose longevity and adaptability made them near-mortal observers of the cosmic cycle. In their histories, every species had followed the same predictable path. Civilization emerged, peaked, and inevitably declined. Survival was temporary, dominance fleeting. Nothing lasted forever. That certainty was shattered the moment humanity appeared. It began with probes and reports. A small, fragile species lived on a blue-green planet orbiting a modest star in the Sol system. Initial observations marked them as unremarkable, emotional, inefficient, primitive. They should have vanished long ago. The Zyphorians dismissed the species as inconsequential. Even the Meridii, cautious and precise, assumed that Earth inhabitants would fade like so many before them. Yet, patterns emerged that could not be ignored. Humans endured disasters that should have destroyed them. Ice ages, diseases, internal wars, and environmental collapse were met not with extinction, but adaptation. Technology emerged rapidly, culture evolved, and societies reorganized themselves with speed and creativity alien to the galaxy's oldest observers. Each recovery defied probability. The Zyphorians convened the Galactic Council, summoning delegates from dozens of advanced civilizations to analyze the anomaly. Holoscreens displayed images of human settlements, bustling cities, and flashes of ingenuity amidst chaos. Insignificant, one Zyphorian historian declared. Even if they survive, they cannot leave their planet. They are irrelevant. The Meridii delegate, shimmering in crystalline form, responded cautiously. Observe the pattern. Every threat, whether natural or self-inflicted, is met with endurance. Their likelihood of survival is anomalously high. The council politely dismissed his warning. Predictions had always held. Every species had eventually succumbed to entropy. Yet unease spread. Humans did not fit the models. Where all other species followed predictable paths, humans adapted in ways that no calculation could anticipate. They learned, improvised, collaborated, and survived in ways alien logic could not account for. Across the galaxy, civilizations began to notice the anomaly. Some ignored it. Others watched with growing concern. Slowly, a pattern revealed itself. Humans were not just surviving, they were enduring. Against every expectation, they thrived. Ancient prophecies, long forgotten or dismissed, resurfaced. A species will rise that changes the balance of the galaxy, they warned. It was allegory, the scholars said. Yet the more the galaxy observed, the more it became clear. Humans were not an accident of evolution. They were a force. They were persistent. They were inevitable. This 500-word chapter sets the stage. It establishes the galaxy's confidence in long cycles of civilizations. Introduces humans as initially underestimated, shows the first recognition of humans' resilience and unpredictability, foreshadows the theme of inevitability. First contact. Humanity's first encounter with the galaxy beyond their world was both sudden and unceremonious. A Zyphorian reconnaissance vessel, a gleaming crystalline construct the size of a city, appeared in low orbit over Earth. Its presence caused panic and fascination alike. Satellites tracked its arrival, military jets scrambled, and billions of humans stared at the sky in awe and fear. Yet the response of the human race was exactly what no alien could predict. They adapted. Within days, global governments convened. Scientists, linguists, and diplomats worked tirelessly to understand and communicate with the intruders. Humanity did not flee, surrender, or erupt into chaos as predicted. They organized. In less than a month, a unified response emerged. Representatives would meet the Zyphorians, not as subjects, but as equals. The first transmission from Earth was hesitant but firm. A human diplomat's voice carried across light years. We have observed your arrival. We seek understanding, not subjugation. We ask only to speak and to learn. The Zyphorians, accustomed to compliance and fear, were baffled. Their species expected immediate obedience or panic. Instead, humans approached with negotiation, questioning assumptions and proposing solutions that seemed illogical yet effective. They listened, they challenged, and above all, they adapted. "What is your purpose here?" the diplomat asked. "Are you our masters or our guides?" The Zyphorian commander replied, with crystalline precision, "We are your superiors in knowledge and technology. You will comply with Galactic Council directives." The human diplomat smiled faintly. "Compliance is earned, not demanded. We will engage in dialogue, but we will not surrender our agency." That simple assertion shook the Zyphorians. Humans did not act out of fear, nor from rigid logic. They acted from curiosity, principle, and creativity, the very qualities that had allowed them to endure their planet's countless challenges. Within months, humans had not only survived scrutiny, but earned a tentative partnership. Where the Zyphorians expected rebellion or collapse, they found ingenuity and adaptability. The Meridii observed quietly, their long life allowing them a perspective most could not comprehend. "They are faster than predicted," one elder whispered. "They learn at rates no simulation accounted for. Their capacity for improvisation exceeds expectation." News of the encounter spread across the galaxy, carried by probes, broadcasts, and interstellar diplomacy. Aliens everywhere began to take notice of humanity. Descriptions varied, but the consensus grew. Humans were unpredictable, resilient, and astonishingly effective. They survived where others would have perished and adapted in ways that no species had before. By the end of the first year of contact, a quiet realization settled among the oldest civilizations. Humans were not merely another species. They were inevitable. Where every species before them had been predictable, humans had become a variable that could not be controlled or ignored. And in that realization, the galaxy began to tremble, not with fear, but with awe. The pattern emerges. As humanity ventured further into the stars, the galaxy began to take notice. The humans who had once been dismissed as fragile and inconsequential were now leaving indelible marks on systems far beyond their homeworld. Colonies were established on distant planets, trade networks developed, and alliances forged with species that no one had thought possible. The galaxy's most advanced civilizations began to recognize a pattern. Humans did not merely survive challenges. They transcended them in ways no predictive model could explain. The first major test came in the Kavari Expanse, a region dominated by the Zeltrians, a species infamous for eradicating newcomers. A human colony had been cornered, its defenses minimal, and conventional wisdom predicted swift annihilation. Yet the humans adapted. Mining drones became mobile fortresses, local weather and terrain were manipulated for strategic advantage, and negotiations were launched with neighboring alien factions previously considered hostile. By the time the Zeltrians withdrew, the humans had not only survived, they had secured new allies and demonstrated ingenuity that shocked the galaxy. Galactic historians and strategists scrambled to understand. The Meridii convened secret councils, running simulation after simulation, yet no algorithm could account for humans' resilience. Where every other species had patterns of predictable rise and decline, humans operated outside those parameters. They were improvisers, learners, and collaborators in ways that defied expectation. Even the Zyphorians, whose crystalline intellects prided themselves on objectivity, began to record notes with unease. "They exploit loopholes we did not know existed," one elder said. "Their adaptability is unprecedented. They survive where no others could." It was not just survival that fascinated the galaxy. Humans rebuilt devastated colonies in record time, negotiated peace between warring alien factions, and invented solutions to problems that plagued civilizations for millennia. Their ability to analyze, improvise, and act simultaneously created outcomes that seemed almost impossible. Each success added weight to a growing realization. Humans were not simply lucky or clever. They were inevitable. Across multiple systems, alien scholars began referencing humans as a phenomenon rather than a species. Military leaders, diplomats, and scientists alike acknowledged that humans could not be predicted, controlled, or ignored. Where once civilizations dictated the flow of galactic events, humans were now shaping them, often unintentionally. Ancient prophecies, previously dismissed as allegory, were revisited. A species will rise that changes the balance of the galaxy, one Zyphorian text warned. Now, for the first time, it seemed literal. Humans did not just adapt. They rewrote the rules of engagement for civilizations and altered the course of interstellar history. The galaxy began to whisper across councils and academies. Humans were not simply resilient. They were a force beyond comprehension, a constant in an otherwise chaotic cosmos. Every failed attempt to suppress, manipulate, or predict them only reinforced the pattern. It was becoming undeniable. Wherever humans went, they endured. Wherever they faced extinction, they found a way to survive. And in that realization, the galaxy began to understand the truth. Humans were inevitable. The inevitable realization. By the 23rd century of human interstellar expansion, the galaxy had irrevocably changed. Humans were present in nearly every habitable system, influencing politics, trade, technology, and culture. Entire civilizations, once confident in their superiority, now regarded humans with a mixture of respect, caution, and awe. The same species that had been dismissed as fragile and chaotic had become a constant force shaping galactic events. The Meridii convened the Council of Recognition, a historic summit with delegates from every corner of the galaxy. For the first time, the oldest civilizations gathered not to judge, subdue, or guide a species, but to acknowledge it. Screens displayed human achievements, thriving colonies on alien worlds, intricate networks of diplomacy among species previously at odds, and technologies that integrated human ingenuity with alien science. Humans are no longer merely participants in the galactic tapestry, the Meridii elder declared. They are inevitable. Their influence cannot be stopped. Their survival cannot be predicted by probability alone. Observations across centuries show a species that adapts beyond expectation, overcomes the impossible, and shapes outcomes far beyond its size or age. Even the Zyphorians, who had once dismissed humans as inconsequential, admitted their earlier misjudgment. We believed intelligence determined dominance, a Zyphorian historian said. Yet humans have proven that adaptability, resilience, and unpredictability matter far more. We misjudged them. The galaxy misjudged them. Humans, for their part, reacted not with triumph, but with characteristic humility and curiosity. They did not seek to dominate the galaxy. They sought to explore, understand, and connect. They reminded the assembled civilizations that true influence came not from fear or power, but from persistence, creativity, and cooperation. It was in this moment that the galaxy fully understood the magnitude of human inevitability. Where other species had been bound by predictable cycles, humans operated outside them. They endured, adapted, and flourished in ways that defied logic. Wars that should have destroyed them became opportunities for alliances. Catastrophes that should have ended them became lessons for survival. Each act, each decision, reinforced a singular truth. Humans were a force that could not be ignored, altered, or predicted. The recognition was not merely political, it was philosophical. Scholars, philosophers, and scientists across civilizations began to revisit the very nature of life, intelligence, and survival. What made humans unique was not technology alone, nor strength, nor numbers. It was a combination of creativity, adaptability, morality, and resilience. They were a species that could not be constrained by expectation. And so, the galaxy entered a new age. Humans were no longer a variable to be measured or an anomaly to be dismissed. They were a constant, a force of inevitability that reshaped the cosmic order. Stars burned on, civilizations continued their cycles, but humanity endured at their center, a reminder to every species that some things, some forces, some lives, cannot be denied. The day the galaxy realized humans were inevitable was not marked by conquest or domination. It was marked by understanding, respect, and the quiet acknowledgement that the universe itself had made room for them, and that they would endure, adapt, and thrive no matter what lay ahead.